come across where not to say I want to feel like stupid to them, but I want to feel like, okay, you're
like
actually...
I have to step up or I feel challenged. I feel challenged. Not that you're challenging me, but I feel challenged.
Yeah, I feel like I need to, okay, well, maybe you should do a bit of research on that and have a bit more of a worldly view than I have, do you know what I mean? And I've never met a female in the sense of being a partner that can make me think I need to step my game up. Even if it's just a little bit. I want to be challenged in that sense, you know what I mean? And it doesn't come across for the ones that I've been with anyway, like of recent time. Anyway.
I'm the same boat as you, bro. Until like this person that I've had a few meetings with, until I met them, I didn't realise. Fuck me, smart women are fucking sex, like
proper
attractive.
Bro, but I ain't
like
find that
smart,
shit.
Not smart and boffing, not smart and outside of the work environment. I'm still smart and boffing it, and I know everything. I want to talk about my subject, and that's it. Not like what's her name, Camilla from Love Island.
No, that's not sexy.
I don't watch no
right. I'm talking about like knows their subject inside out, and can put their viewpoints across. But outside that environment, you could tell they got a freaky side. They want to know about your where you're from and certain things you.
I just like the fact, even if they're not, I mean, like, they don't have to know anything about that particular subject, but they can express a viewpoint on that subject. Like, we could be talking about anything and everything, and they can have their own, even if it's not agreeing with mine, they have their opinion, and they can voice it and give reason for why they've got that opinion. For me, that's like, you know what I mean?
Jesus,
bro, it's a lot, bro.
And they can come to that conclusion just based on the facts you presented to them there and then. They're like, okay, formulate it all together. So what about this? They could come back and give you something. You're like, I never thought about. There's enough further.
That is the shit. That is the shit. I'd want to rip their clothes off there and then, like, you know what? Just fuck talking. Just get it on.
Just give me your brain.
Let me poke your brain.
I want Noddy. I said it like 100 times.
I've been listening to him all day today.
That's what's turning you mad. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It doesn't matter what time of the day you're listening, as long as you're listening. Welcome to Fully Booked, a brand new podcast with a twist. How does it work? Well, we essentially pick a book to read for each series. You're more than welcome to read along with us. We read a chapter each week, and after a brief synopsis of the chapter, we discuss our own and general life issues around the chapter title. Bear with us if we go off course. Life can be like that sometimes. Introducing the team. I'm known as Mace.
I'm known as P.
I'm known as French.
And collectively, we form Fully Booked, a fresh and innovative way to read and divulge books and their household meanings to everyday life. Why did we form Fully Booked, you might ask? For me, it was all about getting back a passion for reading, besides catching up with these two, of course. Of recent times, reading had become a chore for me, and I wanted to get that out of my system. Coming together and forming Fully Booked definitely helped me to do this, because we break down chapters and try to relate them to everyday life scenarios.
For myself, I love reading, but at the same time I enjoy other people's perspectives, so that's part of my reason for forming Fully Booked, but at the same time obviously having this book club.
Again, to follow up on what Poker just said, similar reason. I enjoy reading books. I like to express my opinion, also get opinions of others. Therefore, it's a good reason to meet up with my guys and do a bit of reading and discussion.
So to kick off the series, we'll be starting with the book called Attached. It's a book authored by Amir, Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller, and is available on all good websites that sell books. This week's episode focuses on the introduction of the book. As always, we'll give you a synopsis of our thoughts on the chapter with a brief write-up. The link will be on our Twitter page, which is full_e_booked, and have our weekly discussion on life and its relation to the chapter title. Sit back, enjoy, and as always, leave comments and suggestions on our Twitter page. Done. Right, let's get this cracking, boy.
Alright, cool. Introduction. I think the first part that I wrote or noted down was the decoding of relationship behaviour. Now, one of the the notes or one of the subject matters that stuck out for me was, is love enough? Is love enough? Personally, no. There has to be a level of understanding of each, including personality, egos, flaws, and now attachment styles. And with that being said, I want to pose a question to you guys. Do you think it was easier to live and find love in our parents' generation than now in our millennial generation?
You aiming at?
Either one. Whoever wants to take it off first.
Who's taking that on?
I'm happy to take it on. I mean, I'm not too sure
You
about
being who? Pops?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to take it on. I'm not too sure how in depth it's going to be, but I personally believe, yes, I think it was easier then than it is now. I just think with now, I think there's a lot of distractions. I think there's a lot of distractions. I think some of them be positive, some of them be negative. But I'm thinking more from a negative point of view, whether it comes to the media and the type of female that we should be looking at, the type of characteristic we should be looking at. And whereas obviously back in our parents' day or in their generation as such, I don't think those type of things were characteristics that individuals or they were actually looking for at the time. I'm sure there were similarities, but I don't think they were that intense or the magnifying glass in regards to those characteristics or personality traits, or even like physical traits were that under the microscope. Yeah, that's my personal view on it, kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm sure I can add to some of the one or two of the points that you make, but I just think it was easier then than it is now, and I think the values were a lot different than they are now as well. In my personal opinion, not that people don't have any values now, but I think the values that were bestowed on us then are watered down, like, well, in the here and now, unfortunately.
Yeah. What about you, Mace?
You kind of asked two questions in one there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The first one was, is love enough?
Yeah.
The second one was about the generational thing, whether it was easier to find and sustain love in our parents' generation than
the first question.
with is love enough?
Yeah.
In short, no, because that's quite a broad question. Is love enough? If I'm living in Australia and my missus is living in London, love is not going to be enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've all got physical needs. We've all got. Do you know what? We're going to touch upon a lot of this in this conversation today.
Yeah.
And it comes under some of those styles which will come up later on as well. But we've got needs beyond just love and physical. When I say physical, I'm just referring to the sexual aspect of physical. Like, we've got needs to feel like someone's there for us and to belong to someone, and there's only so long you can sustain that over the phone or over a Skype conversation or over FaceTime. Do you get what I'm saying? In my opinion, like, you need someone physically there, not to necessarily, go and hammer and tongue after dark, after hours, beyond watershed, whatever you want to call it. But just, it might be someone to go to the flipping cinema with and cuddle up with, canoodle with, share a flipping box of roses and watch your latest Tom Hanks flick. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, love isn't enough, and you find this time and time again. I know people are young, but when they go uni, they don't. Do you know what I'm saying? That doesn't last, and they're young at that age, but it doesn't last once they hit uni.
That's happened to me still.
There you go, prime example. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, I think it can. Sorry, is love enough? No, but actually, it's a good question. It interlinks. It's a generational thing. If I've to flip that coin back, say that I've been sent to Australia for 18 months to work on a project. I'm married. I've got, my kids are both 16 and 18, so they're grown of a certain. So me and my wife are like in our 50s. We've known each other we've been together for 20, 30 years. At that point, love might be enough for an 18-month stint. At that point where we're married, we've been in a happy home. We spent 28, 30 years together. Our kids are grown up. We've raised them successfully. For 18 months, when you take the time length of 18 months and compare it over 30 years, it's nothing.
Of course.
Do you know what I'm saying? And if I'm coming home, I doubt I'm gonna get a divorce, or unless something goes drastically wrong and someone's cheating, I doubt I'm gonna get a divorce and run off just for the sake of 18 months. But 18 months when you're 21 or 20 or 19 or 18 is a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So is love enough? No, is my answer. But you could throw in the generational thing into that question, and the age range as well, and the kind of length of relationship for me. I know you're ready to come back on that. Note your point mentally and come back. Parents' generation, 100% agree with P, and I don't know what your response would be because I'll come on to you, but 100% it was easier. And this is time, me and Mandem, we've spoken about this countless times because I always bemoan the fact, if you don't know, I'm single. Are we all single?
Yeah, we're all single.
We're all single. I bemoan the fact that social media, there's benefits, but man oh man, it's the devil in some ways as well. Like there's certain expectations. Like I've said this time and time again. I'm not one that's against can I call it equal opportunities and whatnot. But in our parents' day, or going further back, grandparents' day even, the woman would look after the house and home, and the man was about was getting that dough, getting the bread in for the house, for the household. Make sure you're providing an environment so your missus can provide an environment to stimulate and raise your children properly. Obviously you're raising children, but first and foremost, it was almost in inverted commas, being a man, bringing that bread home and providing for your family. Your wife, your woman, lady at home, she will hold down the household for you. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm all for equal. I'm a man, I love picking up the hoover, the dust or whatever and cleaning, and you know what I'm saying? That's not a problem. Washing dishes, all of that. I'm not fussed about it. Parents' generation, it changed a little bit. It did change quite substantially because a lot more like your woman would go out to work. My mum's always worked, do you know what I'm saying? And but at the same time, it was easier. You didn't have like these social platforms, like there's so much temptation. Facebook and Instagram, none of these things. Facebook, Instagram, I don't know, people use Twitter, there's dating apps, there's all this. People are so much more accessible in this day and age, that's what it is. And what I find is, if you're a woman who physically looks after yourself, whether that's going to the gym, doing your nails, doing your hair, doing your eyebrows on fleek, whatever that means, all the rest of it, from when you're posing up, listen, to me, I've always said this and I'll maintain it, it's easier for a woman to get a man than a man to get a woman.
That's always been the case.
Yeah?
I think that's always been the case.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And what I would say is, if you're not like a woman these days now, a female, especially one who is portrayed in our Western world as physically attractive, if you've got all these social profiles, there's a man hitting you up every 6 hours, every 6 days, whatever it is.
I'm saying to you, the balance on social media tilt, I think, dramatically in regards to it being easier for a woman than for a man. But sorry. Yeah.
And because of that, a man, like a woman, should I say, this is going to sound so rude, but I'm going to put it out there. A woman, if she wanted to, all she has to do is look pretty on a man's arm, and if she can't do nothing else and the man's not happy with that, she can let him go knowing someone is in her DMs, is that what they call it? Inbox, saying, right, let me take you out, let me take you out, let me take you out, let me take you out.
Yeah, outstanding.
Let me buy you this, let me buy you that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not from that ilk or generation. I'm not from that, like, I don't agree with that, do you get what I'm saying? So with me, like, don't get me wrong, I'll treat a girl, I'll treat a woman, like, them know that my thing is holidays and travelling and experience worldly things, you know what I'm saying? And broadening my horizons and all that kind of stuff. And I want to meet someone on that level, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? But I'll treat her to the finer things, like a nice bag or a nice shoes or whatever. But it's exactly what I said, a treat. It shouldn't be an expectation, like, this has just come out. Why don't I have this on my arm? Such and such has bought that for his work. I'm not about that life. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think because of that, that's one of the reasons, generation-wise, in terms of our parents' age and our age, because of that, I think it is harder to get and sustain a happy, healthy, stimulating relationship. I think a lot of things are quite fickle now, like relationships, personally, innit? And I think our age group that we're early 30s, very early 30s, like, I think we're the last of it where we could still find a woman our age who will still respect those values that I listed before about holding down the home and working and stuff. Once you hit in the 20s, because obviously at the age we're at, your age range for female is probably 5 years both ways, realistically, to kind of wife you for whatever. Once you go beyond that, even 5 years is pushing it, because they're of that era where they're in the era where it's normal that that you better, if you're not keeping me up to date, I'll go and find it elsewhere. So that's my viewpoints on that.
Okay, I think I agree with you both. Like, definitely, no, as I said from the get-go, I don't think love's enough. But what I wanted to, when you was talking, the point I wanted to bring up, again, it kind of interlinked with the same question that I did pose already, was basically in the generation prior, maybe not our parents, but our grandparents.
Yeah.
Like, so, because obviously back in the day, there was a lot of wars going on, World War II, etc., etc. So a lot of the men was going off to war, and they was going off to war at like 18, 19, young ages. Now a lot of them was getting married early doors, like, boom, I'm gonna get married before I leave.
What, and were they breeding up before as well?
Some of them were breeding up, some weren't. Either, it doesn't really matter. But the fact is, they was getting married on the basis of, this is love, I love you, we're gonna be together, freaking thing, whatever. Do you know what I mean? That, our generation, that couldn't happen. Like, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's unlikely to happen. Where if he was to go to war, God forbid, everyone's going to be trying to lock down a beanie. It's not going to happen, because anyone that doesn't go to war is smashing. Like, let's keep it 100. Like, imagine now, we was going to go to war, and there were certain guys that weren't going. They weren't eligible, or whatever reason. They was on home turf. They're cracking on, and obviously, your woman nowadays, it's more unlikely that she's not going to be staying faithful just because of the way things are and where we are in society. I don't think that's going to really happen.
Well, I think Pops might have touched it. It's a different day, it's a different age. Whereas even at whether you went to war or not, if you go back 18, 19, it was normal to get married.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Like 20, get married, and that's it. That those vows were. They were like ingrained. Like,
you can go on holiday for 2 weeks and lose something, mate.
And even if you go into certain parts of Eastern Europe, getting married, like when I've done a couple of teaching excursions in Poland. After you finish university, it's normal to get married still. Yeah. Like, it's not uncommon or unusual. Like, mid-20s, okay, I've finished my studies, now marriage, and we start the family kind of thing. So it's still common practice to get married and have kids relatively young. Yeah. Like, it's not as young as it was before, but it's still relatively young compared to what the day and age we're living in. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
But we're living in in
London.
Yeah, so it's almost like the top of the Western civilization, where actually
kind of Hollywoodish world.
Where we are, it's almost like a place of goal-getters, isn't it? Like career-driven.
Yeah,
it's men and women, which is maybe why you're not finding that.
Exactly.
Like, it's about going getting yours first.
Yeah.
Everything else comes secondary.
Yeah, no, literally, it's career first. Everything else comes second, and that's the generation we are. Like, we fall into the millennials. That they've coined now, and I do think our generation is much different to previous generations in terms of just how we have relationships, because a lot of the relationships nowadays for our age group don't tend to last that long. Like, it's very rare for you to find someone, like, for me personally, my guy, my bro, he's had his missus for over 10 years now, over 10 years, but he's the only one. Do you know what I mean? Out of everyone, most people that man know, like, it's very rare that you're gonna find someone that's been in a long-term relationship, our age group.
In life, there's always gonna be things that go against the grain, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, of course, of course. No, I'm saying it's a good thing, though.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
I'm not saying
but
it's a bad
I just think, because previously, our parents' generations, you'll find a lot more couples that are together for a longer amount of time, and going a generation further back, you'll find couples that are, like, more or less all of them, not to say all of them, but you'll find a lot more couples that stay together for a longer duration than it is ours. But again, as you said, society plays a big role in it, and the ability to see so much choice, because that's one of the things I think is different between our generation, maybe our parents' generation, that amount of choice that we now have. We can see a beanie that's in Brazil and actually speak to her like live and direct via Skype or Facebook and whatever whatnot, and be like, alright, cool, bet I'm gonna go over there. Don't go ahead and link up with that one over there, or do you know what I mean? So it's not just this is what's in my face. I can actually go across the world and meet other people and still even be in my bedroom. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot more variety, a lot more choice. And again, I think one of you guys mentioned it in terms of if you look a certain part in today's society, you're going to get a lot of attention. You're going to cause a lot of traction. You're going to get a lot of offers left, right and centre. Like, we said that it's easy for girls to get guys, but now there's a lot of guys that are getting girls like easy from these dating websites. I know one of my dons, he can beat every single date, like literally every single date from these dating apps. You know what I mean? He's not struggling. You know what I'm saying? So it goes vice versa. It's like, yeah, it is easier for girls to get guys anyway, but I think this whole social media thing is making it a bit more of a more playing field, because guys are getting a lot more girls a lot quicker than they would have once off before. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before, like, we would have had to go out there and be like, alright, cool, I've got to be on the turf. Whereas now I can sit at home, go on this app, swipe left or right, have a link and link it that same night, beat it. Do you know what, that's where we are. Do you know what I'm saying?
Not that the values have changed in regards to actually what's important in life, but I'm going to say the world's a different place in regards to what was important to our parents' generation as to what's actually important to our generation. Whereas love, I just want to say, well, love, and I put that kind of like in air quotes, maybe love, but more so in some cases, actually security was really, really important at that point in time. Yeah. So if you kind of like tick those boxes, then that gave you a reason to maybe actually not fall in love as such, but maybe get married and actually pursue actually a long-term relationship as such, and have kids, etc., etc. Whereas of this generation now, the priorities or the things that we actually look at as to maybe successful relationships or just things just successful in life, because as you mentioned before, we live in a city or we're living in a world where people are go-getters and people have aims and aspirations and so on and so forth now as well. So people are not just looking at love, people are looking at security as well, but at the same time also they've got their own aims and objectives as such, whether it's career driven or financially driven and other bits and pieces as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think moving on, going back into like the topic of the introduction, because that was again quite a large subject matter just on that 1 to 2 questions. Another thing that I found reading on further was the subject matters of Tamara and Greg.
So for those of you, this is from the book Attached, as we said earlier, by Amir, Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. Please feel free to purchase the book from all your usual websites that sell books. We're reading through this week by week. The book is called Attached once more, and we're starting off this episode is about the introduction, which is actually a good 35 pages long. So sorry to cut you off there, French, if you just continue.
Yeah, no problem. As I mentioned, Tamara and Greg, they're a couple that has been mentioned in the book, and they cover their story quite often and refer back to it. But the reason why I mentioned this particular bit is because it sounds like a similar spiral of my last relationship, and what tended to happen is as we got closer, it felt claustrophobic. I felt claustrophobic, and then she became anxious, which then caused obviously a lot of arguments and a breakdown of the actual relationship in general.
Was you going to put P and I question in relation to that, or you coming?
No, I'll just.
It's observation.
Yeah, it's just an observation. I mean, if there's any questions that you guys want to pose, or anything that you have to.
So
add.
I was going to say, just very, very quickly, or as you know.
Slow down. Yeah.
Oh, relax, mate. Alright. As I was saying, anyway, I haven't actually gone through the introduction again as such, obviously, but I have read it before. Yeah. But do you want to maybe just break down just very, very quickly, or see what happened, obviously, between their relationship, or maybe the start of it or the end of it, or a kind of a synopsis?
I'll give you a quick rundown. I'll start off Greg and tomorrow. So quick rundown.
Tamara meets this guy called Greg. He's fantastic. He's comes across as reassuring. Before we break that down, I think we need to break down what anxious, avoidant and secure relationships are, which I think French has actually noted. I'll let you kick that off and then we'll break down exactly a bit more about Greg and Tamara's relationship and why it doesn't seem to be going or hasn't gone well in the introduction.
Okay, so it starts off with secure. Secure people feel comfortable with intimacy and are usually warm and loving. Another attachment style is under the name of anxious, which means what come under the people that crave intimacy are often preoccupied with their relationships and tend to worry about their partner's ability to love them back. And the third being avoidant. Now these people equate intimacy with a loss of independence and constantly try to minimize closeness, which I was just describing, I guess as myself, me being an avoidant and my ex-partner being anxious. So yeah, carry on with
touch back on the Greg and Tamara story. Tamara meets Greg. I can't quite recall how or where they've met, but they've met. At first he comes across, he's really reassuring. He appears confident, she really likes him, but it gets to the point where as she begins to grow more into the thought of them two being a couple, all of a sudden he's busy at weekends, we can only make one day a week, but rather than her taking a step back and thinking, okay, this is not the man I met, it makes her think, well why doesn't he want me? She wants him even more. It's like, and she's describing someone as anxious because she's scared that she's going to lose him. So all of a sudden she can't think at work, she might lose her job, she can't think straight at all, she's calling him more, and the more that obviously she craves for him, he pushes away more. And eventually what happens is I think there's a breakdown in the relationship, if I'm not mistaken, French.
I remember it now.
She comes across as anxious. She comes across as anxious, he's avoidant.
That brings me on to a point where I made a note of one of the main messages of this theory is that in romantic situations we are programmed to act in a predetermined manner. So meaning it's not my fault syndrome or I can't help it, which is a common theme in previous relationships. So is staying faithful or cheating then predetermined in a relationship? That's the question to both of you guys.
I think that's a hard one. Is staying faithful or cheating predetermined?
Yeah.
Not for me, man. Not for me.
So what do you mean? What do you mean predetermined?
Because basically, it's saying one of the main messages of this theory is that romantic situations we are programmed to act in a predetermined manner. So if we're programmed to act in a predetermined manner, are we then predetermined to stay faithful? Or are we predetermined to cheat?
Predetermined to me, it's another way of saying, is there something in our, like, are we robotic, like, not robots, but robotically trained to either stay faithful or cheat?
Yeah, is it habitual?
I think some things are wired in the way you behave, but I don't know if anyone's going to allude to situational and stuff like that. I think it's all dependent on how your relationship kind of unfolds, you know what I mean?
It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one because the age I'm at now, the life experience I've had now, I can quite confidently say to you both, if I found someone who I was happy with and I'm working towards something with, no one's tempting me. No one bloody tempts me now, so you know what I mean? But no one's tempting me because the reason why but people don't really tempt me now is because I know what I want and I know what I don't want. Do you get what I'm saying? And I know what I'll accept and what I won't accept. I'm not going to waste time at the age I'm at. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can tell you I'm predetermined, or I can predetermine that I know if I'm with someone and it's serious or getting serious or I want it to be serious, I'm not going to cheat, and I know that hands down I won't.
But what if you're a serial cheater, so to speak?
If you're a serial cheater,
like you just like as the point says, you can't help it. Certain things you just like.
It's about getting to why
we are programmed to act in a predetermined manner.
But you've just taken that out of a section, all right? Don't try and trick P and me with that. Yeah,
so I'd answer for that anyway.
You've just taken out a sentence and you haven't broken down the whole that whole relevant section, all right? So don't start with that. it's about getting to the root cause, really. In my opinion, isn't it? Why do you feel the need to cheat? Or if you're feeling the need to cheat, I'm sorry, you're not happy with that person. That person has not got enough to keep you stimulated and satisfied, whether it's a physical aspect, whether it's a mental aspect, or whether it's a combination of both.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I do believe that, but I believe sometimes people are just stupid.
Do you not grow out of that?
No, people do grow out of it, which was going to lead me to the point, as I mentioned before you stated that. I think sometimes, there's a couple of things. I think it may depend on obviously where you are in life, which kind of mentioned at this point in life, etc., etc. Whereas when you're young, you're probably not thinking that far ahead. You're probably not even thinking 6 months down the road kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you're a little bit older, you're thinking now a little bit further as to, you know what, these are my options. Would I want to settle down with this person? Would I potentially want to have kids with this person? Can I introduce this person to my mum, my dad, etc., my family?
Mm-hmm.
And again, obviously, as I mentioned before, can I see a long-term future? And then you're going to start asking yourself some questions such as, can I actually afford to lose this person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you feel you can afford to lose this person, then you're probably going to continue cheating. And at some point, you're going to make a decision, do I actually want to be with this person? And then you'll probably break up with that person.
Yeah.
Or the relationship would just go down a narrow road, which is not going to end well.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
I can't speak for everyone, but when you're young, I think one of the reasons someone might cheat, this is going to sound so, I can't think of a word, French is normally good with words and stuff like this, but it's going to sound just silly, I think. But you might literally cheat, alright, say you're in a relationship and all your guys you hang around, the dudes you hang around with, remember when you're young you're out quite a lot, well I was, and some of you, I'm guessing, well I know you boys were as well.
Yeah.
When you're young you're out quite a lot. You're young, you're in a relationship, been in a relationship, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, yeah, you're actually happy with that person, but you've only, I don't know, it's only the 4th or 5th or 3rd or 2nd, whatever it is, the person you've been with, and you're in your head you must be thinking there must be more to life than this, not to be rude or horrible, like you're actually content. Like you don't spell with them, but you must be thinking there must be more. And your guys are all out there, they're bantering with chicks every week. I've got this chick, I'm banging this, I'm doing that, I'm doing bits, whatever. You might just cheat for the because you want that crack. Yeah, you want that crack as well. Yeah. Not crack like yeah, but you might literally just cheat for the crack.
Yeah.
Or you might just cheat to fit in with the boys that are still young and just, or get your numbers up or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what my point was about growing out of it eventually.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head when you said, bro, my logical, like the way I think logically now, I'm so happy with myself that I think like this, and I hope you boys do as well. But like,
why did you look at me?
I didn't look at you.
What?
You said I did. Anyway, and and the reason being because I can go into a scenario. I can look at someone and go, all right, I've got such and such at home or whatever. I've been with for 2-3 years. Yeah. Is it really worth losing that woman who I know would, worst case scenario, if we had kids, she'll raise my kids properly, the family get on with her. I know her in and out, and I know her moral standpoint. For a bit of fun with that one over there, who looks like a wildcat, but just is, you know, has got that something about her that is making me think, oh, do you know what I mean? I'll give you a once over. Do you know what I mean?
But that's what it'd be, just a once over.
Yeah, but at the same time, is it even worth that? The risk of somehow. To me, I know it's not.
No, it's not. I'm at that stage now where I can definitely say I wouldn't cheat on my missus if I'm fully content and happy and want to make it work. Do you know what I mean? Especially nowadays, anyway. Once upon a time, reverting back to the whole distance thing, when I was in uni, I was dating a girl in the summertime before we was going back to uni, and me being like so like loved up, so to speak, I was thinking, alright, boom, I want to keep you, but obviously I'm going off to uni, but I want you to be my girlfriend. But in the back of my mind, I had bits and bobs in university that I was still chopping. So I'm like, alright, cool, I want you to be my girlfriend, so I don't want no one else to get hold of you, but I'm going to be going back up to uni, and it's more than likely I am going to probably still cut away. But me being so young at that time and being kind of naive, I kind of, my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend at the time said, like, you know what it is, you're going to uni, you don't have to kind of settle down, so to speak, and be boyfriend and girlfriend. But I was kind of adamant, like, no, I want you to be my girlfriend. We can make it work, whatever. Cut a long story short, I went back up to uni. Within a couple of weeks, I was cutting through a couple other links that I had up there already. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, what my point is, I think it has to do with maturity level as well. When you get as we're at the age where we are now, we can definitely say, all right, cool, I'm ready to be in a relationship, and I'm more than likely not gonna cheat. Because you can never say never. Like, I'm not gonna say never about anything, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely in a position where I'm a lot mentally stronger to say, no, I'm not gonna cheat. And I could see a girl that even if I did find her physically attractive, if I've got a missus at home,
That I'm
then
content with.
yeah, that I'm content with, and we're good, then yeah.
You could admire from a distance.
Yeah, you could look at me like, yeah, she looks good, but that's not. Because I've been in a relationship where I've been with a like in my last relationship, to be honest, and I've seen girls out and about, and girls are onto man, like trying to put a bit of work in. I'm like, yeah, no, it's nice. Like, I appreciate you like me physically, whatever, but I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got my missus, we're good. You know what I mean? And even if they look good, I'm like, you look good now, but it's like when we have a conversation or you're not doing certain things that my missus doing for me, do you know what I'm saying? So no, I think it's a different maturity level, and I think nowadays we're at an age where we can be a lot more mature about that situation in terms of whether you're going to cheat and whether you're not.
Let me throw one of these things in now, because I like the way you're moving. I'm going to throw a little spanner in that work. Let's have a look.
I was going to say, reverting back to...
There's a few... No, sorry, go on, carry on.
Now, if you want to carry on with that point...
Nah, you know, I just think there's a couple of things as well. I think at that age, I mean, myself anyway, I think I've learned a lot about myself over the past, early 30s, over the past, 5-6 years, I've learned a lot about myself, and I can actually look back to certain stages in my life as to when I was secure, when I was a little bit insecure and stuff like that. And at a younger age, you may or may not think you're secure as such, but obviously when temptation is actually thrown right in front of you, you're not strong enough to say yes, or you're not strong enough to say no per se as such. And if you're not actually strong enough as a person to say no, then clearly there's I don't want to say a lack of
self-discipline.
Self-discipline or security, etc., kind of thing. But obviously, once you actually grow as a person as such, then you're actually very confident in yourself that you can actually say no to this, that, and the other as such. And so I think it's a kind of life lesson thing. But at the same time, I don't want to say boys will be boys as such, but boys are, I don't want to say naughty, but very mischievous. And if I can get away with that,
boisterous,
if I can get away with that, then you know what, then I'll get away with it as such. But but as you grow up and you learn through life lessons and putting your hand on the stove and getting burnt once or twice, you will start thinking, you know what, maybe I can't get away with that. Or loyalty is very, very big to me. You know what I mean? So huge, whether it's with women or just people in general, kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's why sometimes I can take things personal, whether it's in business or just friendship, or again, obviously with girls as well. So that's why I try to be very, very honest from the get-go with people as such. So if anything's developing as such, whether it's a woman or in business or just in friendship, I don't like to cross that line where I'm now being disloyal as such. But like some of the things that I'm alluding to is, if I'm actually talking with you, or I'm actually with you as such, I don't feel I can cross that line as to cheating with you or putting myself in a situation where I'm going to start tempting myself. You know what I mean?
Alright, cool. Say, to play devil's advocate, so you go on holiday with the boys and that.
Yep.
I'm not going to say, just say you go Vegas.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there. And obviously you're blowing peas, you're doing that. You and the team are attracting a lot of attention.
The team, I like that.
So, right, you get these girls that are all around you lot. There's temptation.
Cool. Me, the way I think now is sometimes I put the shoe on the other foot, and I think to myself, and also we all know, I mean, a girl doesn't have to do too much more often than not, particularly if she's attractive, to actually gain interest and for someone to talk to her.
Of course.
So if I'm in her shoes, or I'm putting the shoe on the other foot, and she's out in Vegas and she's attracting attention, I'm hoping that she's not going to be drawn into that type of temptation, because that leads down to the same type of road which I'm talking about in regards to loyalty. So if she's disloyal, then unfortunately we can't we can't roll
Say
together.
You don't know. You won't find out.
That's how it is, man. The way I think P and I think similar in that sense.
Yeah.
My conscience is clear, and as I just keep saying to you boys, and I've said it before, the older I get, the more I believe in karma.
Yeah.
I definitely
And
believe
what goes around comes around, yeah? And for me, my conscience is clear, my morals are good, and if I've picked a good one, which I hope I have,
Yeah.
by all means, look, I say this day in, day out, there's billions of people in the world. You think my girlfriend's, I'm the only person attracted to her in the world?
Of course not.
Exactly. There's temptation everywhere. She's going to be attracted to other people physically.
Of course. No, that's that.
And there's someone that might spend an evening chatting to my female in a bar for 3 hours. By all means, like, as long as she knows how to say, look, you seem like a lovely guy in a different circumstance, I'll be more than willing to take this further, but you know what, I'm happy with what I got at home, thanks for entertaining evening. Or at the beginning of the conversation, I'm happy to talk, I'm happy to spend an evening with you or whatever, like banter, but just so you know, I'm very happy with what I've got at home.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that's
I'm more than happy with that. I've got no, see the age I'm at now and the kind of, where I am in my kind of head, I've got no problem. Listen, I've got no problem if I'm with someone, a female. Girl was dating her. When I first started dating her, maybe I was dating her for about, it's quite new, about 2-3 weeks. And she had actually, I think around the same time, she had met someone at the same time as me. That person asked her on a date. And she was going to cancel the date because she had met me. Yeah. I said, nah. I said, don't cancel. I said, go. I said, look, we're not serious yet. We've met each other. We're getting to know each other. But at the same time, it's good for me to know that you go on this date, you see how it goes with this person, and it's good for me to know either way whether you're actually interested in this person or you're not. And it's good for you to know. There's no point in me coming on board, telling you cancel the date. 3-4 weeks down there, we're having an argument. Every time we have an argument, you're thinking, oh, what about that other?
Cool.
Know for yourself. Know now. I'm more than happy. Go on the date. Like, we're not serious yet. Go on the date.
Sorry, go on.
Know for yourself what you want, what you don't want. No pressure. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how French, be open. The best thing in your, bro, if I'm with someone, if they want to go and cheat, go and cheat. Not go and cheat like that, but look, if you if you have the need and the urgency to cheat, just tell me, do you know what? I want to go do something. I was like, and I said, you know what? Well, then I'm not right for you. If I can't satisfy you, whether it's the stimulant mentally or the stimulant physically, or you're not physically attracted to me, or both, or whatever it is, we're not right for each other because I need all of you. I don't just need you mentally, but physically you need to give you something else because you can't find it with me, and vice versa. You're coming to me for the sex, but actually 24/7 you're on the phone to someone else who you don't quite find attractive, but he's everything you require to stimulate you mentally. It's not working like that. We need both, and if we ain't got that compatibility, look, thank you for the memories, thank you for the short time period, we'll be on our merry way. That's how I think, bro.
No, and that's good,
and it's hard for you to think like that because I can see it in your face.
No, do you know what? Because as we discussed, anyone that listens may not know, but we've had this discussion where we know what each other's attachment styles is, and mine's is I'm an avoidant. So your attachment style secure, and P, yours is secure as well.
I wasn't avoidant.
You wasn't avoidant.
Sorry, an anxious. Beg your pardon. I wasn't anxious.
You was anxious.
I wasn't anxious.
See?
I have been anxious years ago.
But the place to get 100%. To is being secure, and that's what I want to go. But I'm an avoidant still at this very moment. Even after I've read this book over, and even still, there are things I'm gonna have to get into a relationship to really test myself to become or grow towards being secure. And everything that you're saying sounds like everything I want to believe or even think like. But sorry, apologies. But I'm not there yet. But I'm not. What you're saying is correct. Everything that you said is where I want to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Was you going to say something?
I was a couple of things. I was going to actually ask you the scenario, not the scenario. The scenario you gave as such. I don't know. I would have taken it as a sign almost. If someone gave me, I would have looked at it completely different than you would have actually. In that the person told you that they're being asked out on a date.
I would have done the same thing though.
They were open and honest with me. No, remember, we was like maybe a couple of weeks into dating.
I would have done
a week and a half into a date or dating or speaking or whatever you want to call it. Someone had already had been on the scene just at the same time as me, maybe a week before, whatever, and they prepared it, lined up a date. this person was talking to me about cancelling the date. They're open on this person, blah, blah, interested, blah, blah. They've asked me the date. The day before they said they're going to cancel the date. And I said, nah, go. I said, go. I said, seriously, go. We've only just met, or we haven't started speaking properly. You need to know for sure, innit? And I need to know for sure. There's no point in you not going and then every time you have a disagreement or a little argument, you're like, why didn't I go on that date or whatever? And then next minute this person pops up 3 months down the line and you go and do the madness.
I'm not saying I disagree.
I would do exactly what you've done in that scenario, 100%.
I'm not saying I disagree. Me personally, I think I would have looked at it completely different, and I would have taken that. I'm not saying you didn't take it as a compliment, but at that point, sometimes I look at processing. So that it popped in her mind. And then there was a decision that she made, and then she articulated the decision.
Yeah.
So you know what? There's someone else who I'm currently talking to, but I'm actually feeling you. Although this is new, I want to explore where this is going, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I might have said bits and pieces of what he said, and then it would have triggered something in my mind as to, you know what? Let's see or explore. Where this is really going to go, kind of thing. Because what you've done really is you signaled your intent. You're actually really interested. Obviously, I'm here first and foremost because you're attractive. But now we've had obviously conversation to which, you know what, you've actually expressed, I actually like you, and I think you're cool and interesting. And there's other guys interested, but I'm actually not interested in them because you've taken me or caught my attention so much that I want to kind of distance them and actually see where this is going as such. Or something else is going to say as well. So me, I would have been all grinning ear to ear kind of thing. And then also there's the early stages of relationship as well, where I don't know if this is something I've just adopted in my thinking as such, but I think when you're probably in a relationship to begin with, I think you're I'm not saying I'm going to waver as such, but there's going to be a period of time where the relationship is evolving as such, and whereas obviously your trust is building, but at the same time your tolerance is building as to not wavering and cheating and so on and so forth as well. So I don't know if you adopt the same thing in regards to if you're considering cheating, then go, or if you're so the point I'm making is your tolerance is building. So you start seeing someone very similar to this girl, but obviously before actually informing you, she's actually thinking about it as such. So she's semi-wavering or looking left and right as such, till the point where she's kind of built her tolerance up as to, you know what, I don't want to look at anyone else, or I don't want to talk to anyone else, I just want to be with you as such.
Yeah. But because it's so early doors in that situation, I think how you dealt with it is quite fine. You know
but
what I mean?
as if you're young, so obviously we're talking about I'm assuming late 20s, early 30s as such kind of thing. So this might have been recent, I don't know. But obviously when you're 21-ish or even earlier than that, it's going to take a long
it's a
time.
whole different process.
It's going to take a long time till you get to a point where you're thinking, you know what, I'm actually really, really comfortable here, and actually really I'm not going to cheat, even if a model or someone glamorous actually pops up in my rear view kind of thing. You know what I mean?
But again, I think that's referring back to maturity. When you're 21, 22, 23, if I was in that said situation, I wouldn't have cared, because I've got beanies anyway. Same situation that Mace was talking about. If I just met a girl and she wanted to go date another guy, at that, even now, I would say the same thing. But I would have been a lot more ruthless back then, younger. I'd have been like, yeah, cool, whatever. I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. But obviously, being mature, or more mature, shall I say, I think to go about it in a way where you can say, alright, well, explore it still, and if you still like what we have, then let's continue. Do you know what I mean? But moving on slightly from that, another point that that came up in regards to Greg and Tamara, and something that comes up in relationships, well, past relationships in my experience anyway. Obviously you can express your own views as well, but saying of I love you consistently, personally I don't have a problem with saying it, I just don't say it often, or maybe not as often as my partner would like me to say it. How about you guys? When you're in a relationship, is that something that you find is that your partner has an angst against, or is it even a situation that comes up where they don't feel like you tell them or express your love for them enough?
I'm going to be general, but at the same time specific as well.
Yeah.
What I've realised just through my growing up as such is I'm very I don't want to say sensitive in any way. I don't want to say sensitive. I can be sensitive and I can be affectionate and that type of stuff. But at the same time, I'm a very hardened individual in that life has thrown, like everyone, life has thrown different curveballs at you. So you know how to protect yourself as such. But sometimes you don't know how to express yourself as much as you should do. As much as you should do. So I think it may get to a point where, or you may actually in a beginning relationship where you're not expressing yourself as much as you do. But then when you get to a point in a relationship where that person has taken you and your mind frame to another place as such, to a point where you're extremely happy, because sometimes I'm sure we've all been there at some point where you're I don't say happy beyond belief as such, but you feel really, really warm inside, and you know that has come from obviously the person who you're talking to, the person who you're seeing at this moment in time. And I think when you're in that stage, then I think you can, or it might be easy to be very vocal as to, you know what, you love this person, or expressing how much you appreciate that person, or just saying obviously I love you and so on and so forth. I think I don't know, I think that's something I'm learning to do in some way, shape or form. I mean, because even, I don't want to talk about family as such, but I think sometimes, sometimes I don't think I've maybe expressed how much I'm appreciative of maybe some of the people around me. But again, obviously that's due to my past, or some curveballs that have been thrown in my direction, obviously in life and stuff like that. But I think you should 100% express obviously how you feel about that person. I mean, me personally, this is grown from, definitely from uni-ish. I think I began to figure myself out, and then I went traveling in 2012, so that's kind of the same type of era. From then I became very, very comfortable with myself. Nothing you can tell me that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. I might laugh at myself as such, you know what I mean, but there's nothing you can really tell me. So there's nothing I'm going to say to you as such that you are then going to respond that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. If I tell you you love me and you tell me you hate me, then maybe I've just miscalculated things, or you know what, I actually do love you for this, that and the other, but if you feel you hate me, then cool, you know what I mean, maybe this isn't what I thought it was, and maybe I've just misjudged the whole situation.
But my point that I was alluding to was more the amount of times that you will say, so you're in a relationship, you've been together for X amount of time, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever. You've gone past the barrier of saying I love you to each other. Like you've both expressed that feeling, I love you, you love me, whatever. Alright, cool. So a couple months down the line, me personally, I don't say it all the time, because it's like I've told you I love you. Like, I don't need to keep on reiterating I love you all the time. But obviously, again, that goes back to certain relationships, because when I think about those relationships now, those certain individuals may have been anxious, so they would have needed that assurance that I love them verbally, consistently. Whereas I'm an avoidant, so me constantly saying it is a burden to me. I don't like to have to keep on saying it, even though I do feel that way. But I just don't feel like, for me personally, I need to keep on airing it out like I love you. It's like, for me personally, it's like, alright, well, I've said it now, you know it.
Almost devalues the meaning.
Yeah, that's
it
how
does,
I feel.
That's
what I'm saying. I'm asking you guys, what's your, because I'm coming from an avoidant perspective, so to speak, and you guys are from a secure attachment theory style. What's your opinion on the whole saying I love you consistently, or not saying it enough? Like, Mace, if you want to go first.
I think that saying it consistently can devalue it at any given opportunity, and it sounds horrible. I might sound like a cold-hearted dude.
It's a cold world.
But it can become a nuisance. Someone keeps saying it. But remember I said to you, I have definitely been at an anxious stage. Yeah. I'm definitely now at a secure stage.
Yeah.
When I was anxious, I was definitely more into all the stuff surrounding I love you and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? Now it's like, if I was with someone, it would just be like you feel it all the time, but there's certain times when it's like, I don't know, more relevant and appropriate. Someone's down, not down, but like, you know, your woman takes you to fucking,
Eiffel Tower,
Yeah.
top of Eiffel Tower for Valentine's. You know what I mean? Like certain settings and that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just, I'm a bit random. I'll just pop it up. Like, well, not pop it up, but like, I'll pop out with random things anyway. So I'll randomly just, you know what I mean? I'll throw it in, but not all the damn time, man.
See, you know, there's nothing I disagree with. Like,
It almost becomes
It does.
a form of reassurance,
Okay, cool.
and
I'm
then
glad
you
you said
realise
that.
you've got a problem with them.
And that's
cool.
exactly
Cool.
that.
I'm glad you said that.
That's
what
what I
you said.
said.
So what characteristic did you say you were?
Avoidant.
Avoiding, cool. So sometimes you need to understand, I don't want to relate this to football, but you need to understand who you're playing with or who you're playing against kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if I'm with someone who's slightly insecure as such, but obviously you love this person and you're with this person, sometimes you need to understand, maybe you need to reassure or say these things, not more often than not, but you need to provide this person with a bit more confirmation, so they obviously they feel good about themselves and stuff like that as well. But at the same time, I don't want to sound like bringing it kind of whole circle and obviously talking about family and stuff like that. You never know what is around the corner kind of thing, you know what I mean? By obviously, I think by letting your family or letting your loved one know that you love them or X, Y, Z, I don't know, I just think, so I've kind of like lost the track or the train which I was going along, but I think it's just important to kind of like let people know, you know what, I do care, or I do care.
Cool. Okay.
But again, obviously settings are very important as well.
Alluding to the whole attachment styles, and I did mention me being an avoidant and wanting to go into the secure realm. It does mention that 1 in 4 can change their attachment style over a period of 4 years on average.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a bit of hope. That's a bit of glimmer.
Mate, me and Pox have said this to you before, yeah? You're not a robot that's programmed by a book, alright? You're your own man.
I know, exactly.
Book says I can change in 48 months.
Yeah, no,
It's mad.
but no, it does give me a glimmer because I've been.
So if that book never said it, you think you'd have no glimmer of hope. If the book never mentioned you can change your your attachment style, you think you don't have a hope. Just because the book's put 7 words in or a sentence, now you have hope.
It's giving
That's
me
my
hope.
point.
It does.
See, that's not my point. Why do you have to see that? Why can't you just think I can change?
Because I didn't know I was an avoidant before I read this book.
Fair enough. Imagine the book had everything in there apart
Yeah.
from the fact that it said. It doesn't say whether you can or you can't change style. It doesn't. It just gives no indication.
All right,
Would
so
you then be like, "That's that then?
no.
I'm just an avoidant."
Yeah, I would be like, I'm an avoidant, but it gives you. But the whole point of this book, it gives you strategies how to deal with certain things. So therefore, I would use those. You're giving me that look. I would
no look.
I would use those same strategies to start to and implement them in my next relationship to go against doing the typical things that I would do as an avoidant. Like certain things that I know I do. Literally, when I've read through the book, it's like, oh snap! Like I do that to the T. And if it can give me tools to then go against the grain of being an avoidant, then of course I'm going to do that. Is that going to make me permanently secure? Probably not. But the fact that it says you can change is giving me a bit more like, okay, well, there is a possibility that I can change. Because I wasn't aware of me being an avoidant until I've read the book and it's like, okay, well, this is what it is. Because it's come from
Amir.
Computer says avoidant.
No, but
No, I get exactly
You
what you're coming from.
understand, you know what I mean?
If you take away this book, this scenario, the whole topic we're talking about, in life even, like, I don't know, flipping Meek Mill, who's like now world renowned, he has money, he had one of the flyest girls in the game. But like people from his area, his hood, his region, his neighborhood, they're looking at him like, I can make it doing this.
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's similar in that.
Exactly.
Okay, so there is like a protocol,
is a way.
or
Yeah, there's a way.
There's a guide, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely.
You know what I was going to say?
Go on.
Why, I don't know, it might be a personal question, not personal as such, but you may not want to answer the question. Why would you say you're avoiding? When did you realise that you're avoiding?
When did I realise I was
book, he
avoiding
said.
from this
No,
book?
so what makes you avoiding?
What?
Or what if
That's bro.
Attachment, like if someone
No, I think he
if
understands the
a-
question I'm asking.
No, but the reason why I can't.
You don't have to answer it.
No, that's what I'm
away
saying.
from why has he got to that place in the first place?
But I could be. I
Yeah.
would need a couch, and you'd have to be a psycho, whatever it is.
Part of
for
me hasn't got no problem answering that myself, but like,
Alright, so you can, but you're secure.
that's quite funny actually. Yeah, because obviously I'm down as secure and you're.
I'm down as an avoidant.
Okay, so yeah.
But there's a lot of aspects that I could divulge and say, well, this is counted the reasons why I'm like this and like that, but this really isn't the stage or platform to go into my deepest dark secrets.
I would say, Philippi, you've changed from avoidant to secure.
Yeah, I know.
See?
Alright, and you've changed from anxious to secure.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, I think this guy was majorly avoidant. Especially,
Really?
like, growing up, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about female, I'm talking about relationships in general.
Yeah.
I would say that about you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Definitely
with
avoidant.
Yeah.
That's why, like, points in regards to maybe telling people you care more often than not. I think it's important. You never know what's around the corner.
Okay, so what made you...
What's made you...
I will say it. Go on.
What's made you almost have trust in people and have and now form a strong enough attachment where you don't feel like someone's going to let you down, if that makes sense? What has changed you? Something's obviously happened where maybe someone's had your back, or someone's been there for you that you didn't think or you didn't request, and they were just there anyway, and they had no vested interest. So what's changed that for you?
I may not answer that exact question as such, but I'm going to tell you why I'm secure as such. So
and would you admit you were avoidant previously?
Yeah, but I think I've always been. Okay, I think I've always had that
I'm avoidant secure, because sorry to cut you, but shut up. I'm secure in... No. You can't say that. Listen, because the same way you said that when it comes to like...
word decay.
Yeah, shut up, man. Say like, alright, what was the scenario that you put the other day in terms of if someone, like one of the man was like, you're my dog. Like,
Yeah.
You're not like an avoidant. You can't really accept that.
Do you know what I can't accept? I don't like people relying on me.
Exactly, but I don't mind, because I'm dependable. I know if I set my mind to something, or if I say I've got your back, regardless if it's going down, that's me. Like, you know, you can count on me, because I'm gonna be there thick and thin, rain, sleet, hell, snow. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've got no problem with that with my dogs. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a relationship with a girl, I'm an avoidant. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. Like with like me, you, I'm secure all day. I've got no problem. I'm not gonna. You can tell me anything, and I'm not gonna be like, oh shit, this is getting a bit too personal. Or do you know what I'm saying?
It's weird, like, how can I put it? Because you've actually raised a very good point there, and it's not even I don't like people relying on me. It's almost like I don't know. It's maybe it's a fear of being able to deliver something which actually I don't have to deliver. Like, it's almost like, okay, so I'm your guy, like bona fide, like shit. I've got to step up to what now? Like, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. You're talking about
Actually, it's just in my head. It's not like, oh, now because you're my dog, you got to do this. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
Like that sometimes.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I know in logic it doesn't. Like in actual like reality, it doesn't work. But in my head, it works like, shit. The guy's calling me his dog. Like
that means I've got to do this. No,
it's like I don't know. That's the point I'm getting to. It doesn't mean I have to check. If someone's saying that you're my guy or whatever, it's actually because you've just been genuine with them and they appreciate how you are as you are.
Yeah.
But then someone just almost labelled it.
Yeah, of course.
And then it's like shit. Like,
Great words, labels.
you know what I'm saying?
Girlfriend, engaged, married. These are. I mean, I know there are different levels to like the relationship, but for me, they're just. I don't want to say words, but they're just
they're labels.
Yeah, they're labels. You know what I'm saying? Always like some people, you can be in a relationship for 10, 15 years, and you can be in a relationship for 5 years and be married. Like, which relationship is the stronger relationship? You know what I mean? Some people would go down the route of being married and say you're married, and some people, you know, I'll happily take the 15-year relationship.
I'll happily take the 15-year
without being married
and not be married.
The label for me doesn't particularly matter. You know what I mean? And I can at times, I think in my maturity, can separate that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm very much like that. Very, very much.
But kind of like answering one of questions prior. No, that's cool. I think there's one or two very, very interesting points there. Is I think I've always been.
No, that's somebody's mace. He's done it about 7 times. Anyway, go on. This man ain't road world.
Hey.
Fuck you, man.
Back to the point. Back to the
snitch.
Back to the point.
Snitch up in the dance.
Back to the point that he was making.
Yeah.
I think I've always been very confident. I've always been confident as such, but I think that's been overclouded by levels of maybe anxiousness as such, and maybe things have happened to knock me back to then obviously be a bit more anxious or not to display obviously levels of confidence. I think where I've become more confident as such is through life experiences or such. Obviously I've received compliments or this, that and the other, and then it's a case of, you know what, I am this person, I am that person, and it's made me become obviously a bit more confident.
Okay.
Very confident. And then obviously things such as traveling, and then obviously being obviously a bit open-minded, and obviously meeting people obviously a bit more like-minded and stuff like that as well. And then you actually begin to actually know yourself, and then become secure.
Myself.
No, I'm not saying you don't know yourself, but then I'm not saying you don't know yourself, but I think some of the things I was just I mentioned before, as some of these things are actually female related as such, where I've had very embarrassing moments, but then I've had, like, moving forward, I've had moments where I can look at myself and I don't want to say be proud, but obviously I've been very happy with myself in regards to this happening or that happening and so on and so forth, and then compliments this, that and the other, and then you realise, you know what, this is who I am moving forward.
Yeah, I mean,
or this is who I am.
that still doesn't help me think, okay, well, I can now feel secure or having a secure attachment style. I just feel the way I feel. Like, as I said, reading through the book allowed me to be able to label my attachment styles. I wasn't aware of it until I read this book. But knowing that there is a label for it, so to speak, and that there is ways of, not to say avoiding it, but there's tools to enable me to have a better relationship or be able to really commit to a relationship, and I'm aware of certain things that I do is just because of my attachment style. It's not because I don't want to be with that person. Do you know what I mean? I think Mace, you wanted to go.
Just to touch on, if you've just joined us, if you've just jumped on a friend's laptop who's been listening to us from earlier, we're going through the book Attached by Amir, Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller, available on all your usual websites for purchase. We're going through or over the introduction chapter or section of the book, and we're discussing some of the valid points and how they relate to life experiences. What I wanted to touch upon, actually, it's actually very early in the book on page 3, and I think it actually might be the first 3 points which all rang home. So the first one, this is how the book starts actually. 2 weeks into dating this guy, a person was worried that the guy, or a female was worried that the guy was not going to call them and that they're not good enough for him. A self-fulfilling prophecy. Another point which comes underneath that is, after a few weeks I lose interest, and another point is, married for years yet feel completely alone. He doesn't discuss his emotions with me. He works most nights, and weekends spends time with his friends rather than with me. So a couple of points to raise from that. So just the second point, really. After a few weeks, I lose interest. Why would someone lose interest after a few weeks in someone? Physical thing, too intense, too soon? I put that out to the panel, to French and Pox. Why would someone lose interest in someone after a few weeks?
They may have done something, certain times that person may have done a particular wrong in their eyes. It could be so, but again, I think because the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, I'm thinking about a friend of mine who I mentioned, who gets a lot of traction from dating apps and whatnot. And he was knocking birds out of the park, like left, right and centre, but he was actually trying to find a girlfriend or someone that he can be serious with. But then within a couple days or within a couple weeks, they would have done something that would triggered his avoidance, or just triggered something, and it's like, nah, this ain't for me, like, she ain't for me. So it depends on where you are mentally and what it is you're trying to gauge, because you can be hypersensitive to certain actions or certain things that are being said or done, so that makes you think, alright, well, I really don't want to have to deal with that again. Or so, for example, like, he's read this book, he's the one that introduced me to the book as well. After reading it, you're a lot more aware of attachment styles. So me being an avoidant, I wouldn't want to go with someone that's anxious, so I would be able to pick up on things that are anxious. So within a couple of weeks, if I'm seeing you for a couple of weeks and you start doing certain things that would be done from an anxious point of view, that's gonna make me back up straight away. I'm like, do you know what, this is long, slow. Do you know what I mean? So it could be a various different things. Do you know what I mean? It may not be physical. It could just be she said the wrong thing at the wrong time, or we may have been talking about, and her viewpoint on this was so polar opposite to mine. It's like, we can't even work on anything because I know you think about this in such a way. There's no point in us cracking on, because that's something I'm never going to budge on, or I'm not willing to budge on.
Okay.
So I think that there's obviously different variables that you could talk about that would cause someone to stop liking someone within a couple of weeks, but I think...
So the examples you've given, are these from your own experiences why you've lost interest in a couple of weeks? Can you think of any? Can you think of any examples where you've cracked onto something, whether it's in a club, whether it's met from mutual friends, whether you've spoken to on the road, whatever in your lifestyle, where you've actually, the moment you met her, we all know when you meet someone, it's physically what you go on. It depends on the environment. If it's something you've seen at a club, for instance, it's going to be a physical thing. That's using. What from then to like within a couple of weeks you saying, do you know what, this isn't for me? What might have happened? Like, are these examples you're giving me, or?
I mean, for me personally, it could be any of those variables that I mentioned. Like, I've met a girl and within a couple of weeks I'm like, just talking to her is just a bit long. I don't want to talk to her no more. Like, her chat is dead. When I actually look at her, I've beat it already, so I'm like, I've been true, so I'm not even trying to cut through that again. So it's a bit of both. It depends. Like, it's very hard to say it's this or it's that. It could be different things for different individuals. Yeah. Personally, anyway.
One of Pops, I'll come on to you in a sec. Just because French has touched on a viewpoint that is of interest to me. I've got a couple of female friends, like, and we can speak quite openly about stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things with one particular female friend I speak to her about, she's a female, she enjoys sex. There's nothing wrong, guys, females, we enjoy sex. Yeah. One of the things that I try and say to her, because she was having issues where she meet a guy, she likes sex, guys like sex, she might have sex with him quite early on, and they tended to lose interest. And I used to say to her, where are you meeting these guys? And she'd normally be on a night out. And I said, alright, let's break it down. When you meet a dude, or a dude meets you on a night out, you have the only reason he's approached you, you've approached him, you've locked eyes, you've smiled, you've given him that wink, whatever, is a physical level. You've got to remember the environment you're meeting someone in. It's a physical element. What you've got to do almost is, if you exchange numbers, if you actually like the dude, if you actually within a couple of days realise actually you like the dude, or you want him, or you want to try and get him to like you more than physically, you've got to take that risk that you're not going to put out early on, but you've got to give him enough to keep him interested. And then over time, because he's having to work for your affection as such, in terms, he's going to have to take you out for a drink, a date, have a convo, not via WhatsApp, on the phone. And hopefully over time, the personality will kick in, where actually he starts feeling you in a personality way. And you've got to take the risk that, because you might like him, want him, you might be looking for a boyfriend, and you've got to take the risk that he's going to, I don't want to use, for lack of a better word, fuck it off. Within a week or two, because he says you're long. You've got to take that risk if you want longevity with this guy, because what your main aim should be is to force him to get to know you inadvertently, almost without him subconsciously, because initially he's physically attracted. He's gonna want sex.
Yeah, of course.
And you got almost and trick him is the wrong word, but you've got to get him to get to know you without him realizing he's getting to know you.
Guys want that though. Like for me,
They like the chase sometimes. Yeah.
It's the chase, but it's also like for me now.
Yeah.
Like for me, if I met a girl, whether it's on a night out or on the tube or in whatever scenario,
Yeah.
if I like her, like physically, I physically like her, like I really like, oh my, I want to get hold of her, like now. It's better for her to play hard to get than for me to get in her knickers straight away, because if I get in her knickers straight away, I've got what I wanted already, and it's like,
And I haven't even had to get to know you.
yeah, I'm not really.
So it's easier to cut that tie.
Yeah, like I'm not
Or
that
treat you
interested.
as that. Or treat you as, right,
Exactly.
after watershed.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with if you both physically like each other and you go to bed the same night that you meet him and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with it. Like we're all grown. Do you know what I mean? Like as you said, women like sex, men like sex. There's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, you do want to have that intrigue of I want to get to know this person. Like for my last partner, I think I went out with her for about 8 dates. No, not even 8 dates. I'll say about 6 or 7 dates before we done the do. And even before we done the do, I think it was I liked her so much. I said to her, I want you to be my girlfriend. And we haven't even slept with each other yet. But that's how much I had got to know her in that short space of time, and we'd done so much so quickly. I was like, I'm willing to make you my girlfriend before I've even found out what the goods are saying. And that's very rare for you to get that. Like, and I told her even after we had sex or whatnot, I told her I would have been willing to go on 10 dates because I liked your company. I liked being around you. Do you know what I mean? And I think girls give up the pom pom a lot quicker than what they should nowadays, and that's just how it is. Like, but at the same time, I know a lot of girls will be like, well, if I hold out for too long, he's gonna lose interest. But as you said, and it was a good point, you've got to be willing to take that risk.
Yeah. What's your views, Pops? I'll just go back to that question. So, one of the points raised in the introduction on page 3 of this book was, after a few weeks, I lose interest. Why would someone lose interest after a few weeks, male or female?
I found it quite funny actually. I mean, I think there's loads of different variables. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, why? Like, if the girl's really attractive, first and foremost, I mean, that person's going to obviously have my attention. Is definitely going to have my attention. Then obviously, if the person's really, really interesting, then beyond sex, actually, just get cut to the chase. Beyond actually having sex with her, I'm going to want to know her obviously a little bit more, kind of thing. But if she's, dare I say, I don't want to call it a 6/7 as such, and personality is a 6/7 as such as well, then let's be honest as such, but I'm probably more interested in just having sex and then cutting all ties loose, unless she then decides to display the level of personality or character that I didn't quite know before. And in me actually getting to know someone or actually taking something further, for me it's got to go obviously beyond actually having sex as such. So like, if I then see you as interested in having a great personality and can like expand my mind or take my mind places in which not it hasn't been before, but take my mind places to which I actually love going in terms of conversation, then obviously I'll pursue seeing you obviously a lot longer, kind of thing. But like, if conversations are not, I don't say not flowing in a sense, but if you're just not an interesting person, then I'm going to want to cut ties with you once we've kind of like, once my initial interest has wore off, which is obviously having sex with you and such. But I think that, again, obviously there are quite a few things. I mean, I've explained this to girls before. Very similar situations to which you mentioned, obviously, not too long ago, in girls actually meeting people in clubs. In fact, the person did actually tell me where she's actually meeting these people as such, but explain why guys like them. And I said, once the chase of actually just kind of like getting to know you just a little bit and then having sex with you, and then if they're genuinely not interested in you, then they're gonna like very slowly gonna fade into the background
very quickly.
They're not gonna stop responding to one or two of your texts. Then they'll start responding to one in every 5, and then slowly you'll get the picture without them actually being rude as such.
Yeah, I've done that.
And that's how it works. Not how it works, but that's generally how things work.
That's
as such.
how
You know
it
what I mean?
goes.
But again, I totally agree with what you said. That like, I think if girls actually not put guys in a situation where they had to actually get to know them, and then it opens them up as such, and obviously, you get to know them, but in doing so, it opens them up as well. Then they're gonna have a feel of attachment once you've actually had sex and stuff like that. Because I think that's when all the fun begins, really. Or it's not a deal breaker. You know where people are going, this way or kind of that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mace, did you want to pose another question or?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I add to that kind of thing? Like, because me personally, I mean, I know I've mentioned this with dating and stuff before. I love, it's not the thrill of the chase as such, it's like I love actually just getting to know people just in general, because I think, obviously it's not no secret, obviously everybody's different as such, but I think there is definitely obviously an art in conversation and art in getting to know people, and I think if you can actually open people up as such, then I think you'll find dating or just seeing people, obviously that more interesting kind of thing. And I think you're going to find that person's going to be a bit more comfortable in letting you getting to know them and stuff like that, and either way, well, let's be honest, having sex with them will also be a lot easier, but then obviously then there's a lot more, then there's actually longevity to it, because sometimes you can have sex with someone and then actually just go on to be friends, or realize, you know what, maybe I'm not actually interested in having sex with you anymore, and they may be both ways, it may be reciprocal, but we can still say hello every now and again, or you may even see them out and about as such, and they can still be cordial. Whereas obviously if you're frosty, if you end it kind of like slowly, as we mentioned before, when you see this person out in public, it may be like a wry smile and all that type of stuff. And me, I'm about like just being comfortable with people. I don't want to say, I know I mentioned loyalty once or twice, but I don't like just me personally, I don't like knowing that I've done someone wrong.
What in that regards to doing something wrong? Say like you got hold of a bird, you slept with them, and she was obviously more interested in you than you her, and you just kind of, as you said, fall back into the background. Would you say that's a bad thing for you to do?
No, because that's another thing as well. Again, with loyalty comes honesty.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, unfortunately, I'm not interested in you in that way, but I'm not going to.
But would you say it?
I think I can say it. Because I think I've got to a point in life where I'm not about not it's about bullshit, but I'm not about lying. I think lying's a complete waste of time. Sometimes you don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I like being very honest as well sometimes.
There's other ways of, as you said, as you mentioned, there's other ways of making that person know that you're not interested.
You know what? And I know that because I know sometimes guys prefer, I don't call it the easy way out, but sometimes it is kind of like an easy way out. It is an easy way out. But I don't know. I mean, I've actually been honest with someone. Actually, one time I was honest with a girl. Actually, I told her, I went over for a drink, and then I told her, you know what? I've actually got a lot going on. I'm not actually interested. I told her, I'm being honest. Mum's like, I told her I'm not actually interested. All right, and then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna throw this little curveball in there, and I'm saying, unless it's this, like, then I'm.
My chat.
No, it worked. I said, I said, unless it's this, then like I'm not being disrespectful because I'm not even like crass like that. Unless it's this, then bam. And then I had no problem. But then down the line, then it became an issue. But now I explained to the person, you know what? I told you from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Of course.
The person made me feel guilty at first, and I sat there and I said, no, I told you. No, that person made me feel guilty. I told you. If I told you, then there's no reason.
Exactly.
But I totally understand why you're in this situation as of now.
Yeah.
But then, funny enough, this same person, going back to the point you mentioned earlier, said, why is it when I sleep with people early that they then detach themselves from me? I'm like, fucking that's what happened. I said, fucking someone hasn't taught you, mate.
What was you gonna
have you got anything else to add?
No, not on that subject matter.
Anything else? Just
Because I've got something, but I want to have. I think it should be the last word, to be honest.
Okay, well, moving further along into the introduction, it mentions that among adults, the prevailing notion is still that too much dependence in a relationship is a bad thing. I was going to ask you guys, what do you think and why?
100%. Too much depend. Have you got more substance to that, or is that it? Sorry, I know it's in the book, but is that the only bit you took out of that?
That's the part of the statement I did take, yes.
All right, repeat that question for us, French.
So among adults, the prevailing notion is that too much dependence in a relationship is a bad thing? What do you think and why?
Do you know I'm going to answer that? I've actually got something from the chapter I read, and I was going to leave it to last, but this is the perfect answer in my opinion.
Yeah.
There was something you probably came across. You might have been picking up on it later on down the line.
Yeah.
There's something called the codependency myth.
The dependency paradox, are you talking about?
The codependency myth.
Yes. Codependency movement.
Myth.
Self-help approach. I've noted it down. The codependency movement.
Okay. The codependency myth.
Yeah. The movement. Codependency movement.
Sound like scientists. Go on.
It's from a scientific
scientists.
perspective.
And what it says is, and this resonated with me, which is why I wrote it down. Your happiness is something that comes from within and is not dependent on your lover or mate. I think that is big. And the reason I think that is big, blood fire. We out here, boy.
He was out here.
You out here. You see him? Look.
Yeah, I see you.
Walk. He's going some. He's on a mission.
He's got to get some grub.
Boy.
He's on a mission to get grub, man. He's got that score pound, you get me, or £19.97.
That statement for me, and I think it will help to answer your question once I finish.
Yeah.
I think I've said this. You cannot, and I think this is why I was once anxious, because I didn't actually know or was not comfortable within myself, or like I might have felt like I was batting a little bit, punching, yeah, and which is why I might have been anxious.
Okay.
But you gotta make sure you're good first and foremost. And in my opinion, what's supposed to happen in a relationship is you're good, they're good, you come together, and you're great. Does that make sense? Because I think it mentions in here somewhere that actually once you're together, you're almost one body, if that makes sense. And you are actually, it can be healthy to depend on each other to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's the dependency paradox, which I was going to go into later on.
Fine. So my point is, it depends on the dependency of your other half. One person should not be more dependent on the other person, or vice versa. And it depends on the dependency. If you got cancer, me being by your bedside, letting you know I'm gonna be here every last clock step of the way, is that not gonna fill you with confidence, knowing you're not going through it alone, even though you technically are? Yes or no? Knowing, right, even if they scrape the flipping number 2 off your head, I'm gonna be here. Yes, does that make sense or not?
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and they ran some kind of tests, which I've read in this book, whereby they said they put people's wives or partners or mates and said, we're going to give you an electric shock.
Yeah.
And at one point they gave them no one by their bedside. At one point they gave them just a friend to hold their hand, or a random person, a stranger. And at one point they gave them their partners or husbands. And the stress, I don't know if it was the stress levels or some kind of levels dropped depending on who was there.
Yeah.
So if it was the husband, and it was a good relationship, it dropped really.
There's almost nothing there.
Exactly. Whereas if they were by themselves, it was like they were worried. I don't know what the exact test was, but they were really worried. And that goes to show, and obviously the person that was not, you didn't know, but they were just there, it was somewhere in the middle. That goes to show you are dependent on that person as such.
So I laugh because I think when you mentioned holding hands, obviously I read the chapter before the introduction. I remember one time I was being chased by a dog and I was with a girl, and I immediately held her hand, and not because to protect her, because it was a case of not her protecting me. It was
you're in it together.
Yeah.
It
was quite funny actually.
Codependency.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, like codependency.
Not that anything was going on between me and her, but it was just really funny at the time.
It's just the codependency in that respect, but. All right, so answering the question, what do you think is too much dependency in a relationship a bad thing?
Yeah, and too much dependency. If you watch Love Island, Camilla, that's too much dependency where you're having to constantly reassure.
Yeah, I stopped watching that.
Okay, fair enough. You have to constantly reassure. I think too much dependency is constantly reassuring someone they're beautiful, or it's nice. Listen,
but that's the whole thing. My point. Sorry to cut you. The whole point in telling someone, I constantly have to tell them I love you.
Yeah, and it's because they need it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a bad thing, me personally. But sorry, Pete.
No, I was actually just soaking in what you said actually, because not that I disagree with that, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's I mean, just from my own experiences, kind of thing, just in either being very guarded sometimes with my emotions, my feelings. I think, you know what, it's not a bad thing to tell someone that you actually love them. I know you're talking about the frequency, but it's not a bad thing to tell someone that you love them as such.
It's not a problem.
Also, no, we're talking about the frequency, I know that.
Yeah.
So that's the only discrepancy, if there is a discrepancy as such. But like in regards to codependency, again, I think in a marriage or in a relationship, I think it will float left and right kind of thing. Sometimes you'll depend on them maybe a little bit, and sometimes so it will kind of like ebb and flows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I
which
think,
is healthy.
Yeah, it's healthy.
not unusual,
I think it is very healthy.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it may even come down to also your attachment or attachment style as such. And I mean, again, also I'm very secure, so not that I don't need you as such, but I mean, I'm not so much focused on having to lean on you for this, that, and the other. Whereas obviously, depending on where that person is in life, because again, you're going on two different journeys, but you happen to be together. So if that person is in a very insecure stroke anxious kind of place, then obviously that person is going to need your support in some way, shape or form, you know what I mean? Again, I think it does depend obviously where you are in life. If you're going into a new place in life, and I'm going to use responsibility, so new responsibility in life as such, so it could be being a new mother, or it could be going into some type of job or responsibility, or having to support another family member and stuff like that. I think sometimes you need a little bit of support, and it could be emotional support, saying that you're doing well, or this and that and the other. And again, obviously I mentioned before, I don't want to go around the houses. I think it comes in ebbs and flows, but I think if it's constant, then I think you might need to kind of like, I don't know if you have to look at it, but it might be something that you do question somewhere down the road if you haven't questioned it already.
Okay.
Question what?
Whether you're right for this person. If I'm constantly having to reassure you your whole life throughout our whole kind of relationship, then there's clearly something wrong with you.
So overall, we're saying too much dependency is not healthy for
No, I don't think so, no.
Are you saying that, French?
Yeah,
What's your point?
I definitely think too much dependency in a relationship.
Too much of one thing ain't good anyway. But
Yeah, too much of anything is not good.
Anything,
My
yes,
point being, I definitely agree with both of you if your point is too much dependency is a bad thing. The reason why I can, as P mentioned, I can relate it to my attachment style as one of those things, because me being an avoidant, I will back off anyway. If you're too dependent on me, I'll put my arm up. I'll put my arm up automatically without even trying. I'll just put my arm up because you're getting way too close. But in general, if I was to be trying to push towards a more secure way of thinking, I still don't think being too dependent on one another I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy. But that kind of leads me onto the whole codependency movement and the dependency paradox, which we'll discuss in a moment. P, you want to say
sorry,
something?
I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to cut in. With like anxious people, and you mentioned, I'm not saying this is the case with you. I know you were saying like when the person gets too close, you kind of want them to back off as such. Is it a case of them now becoming close to you to the point where they're actually going to know you, I don't want to say inside out, but know things you're not quite ready to divulge as such? So yes, your face slightly changed there as if you were ready to answer.
No, go on.
So your face changed, that's why. It's a case where you're worried about you're going to be put into a place where you're going to have to divulge things which are really close to you as such, which you haven't shared with many people. More often than not, guys may want to lie about this if they want. They tend to share things of that emotional side with females because they make it a lot easier. They make it a lot easier.
What are you asking?
No, is that no? I'm not saying.
This sounds more personal to French.
I'm not trying to be personal. I'm saying.
But it sounds like it actually sounded like. Are you asking a question directly to French almost, or are you asking about the attachment styles? That's what I'm confused of.
So he mentioned something. I completely forgot what it was, which led me to that question.
You asked about first. You started off asking about with the anxious attachment style, and then it more seemed like the question was directed at French because it was like, what is
back
it?
then, yes. But he said something in his previous. So he mentioned something moments ago.
Yeah, it was about
the person when they get too close to you. When they get too close to you, then. But what I'm saying, you said something a bit specific, which kind of like gets to the semi-question which I kind of wanted to ask earlier, but it doesn't.
That's just an avoidant. But that's the reason why I said that is because that's an avoidant strategy.
Okay, cool.
That's an avoidance strategy. When someone gets too close, you put a barrier. That's just, if any person that's an avoidant will do the same thing. It's not an individual thing. It's what an avoidant does.
And the thing is, with an anxious person, if an avoidant person, as French has said he is with an anxious person will take it as, all right then mate, do one. They'll take it as, why are you doing that?
They'll push even further.
They'll push even more towards the avoidant person and be like, why is it being like that? What? Let me try and ring him. Let's meet up. We need to speak about, like, they'll be more on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the secure avoidant is, but I know with the anxious avoidant mix, the anxious person won't push them away. It will start driving them mad.
Yeah, of
and by
course,
driving
yeah,
them
I get
mad,
that.
they want to know more about the avoidant. Like, why? No. But it was all going so well, and you can't do it. They're a bit like that. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not, as I said, we might come into more in the book about secure avoidant and what happens there, whether the secure person is like, fine, leave it at that, you're not for me. I don't know yet. We haven't come to that. But I know it does mention about the anxious avoidant.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that?
No.
Cool. So yeah, the book mentions the codependency movement and the self-help approach. And another point that I made was, numerous studies show that once we become attached to someone, the two of us form one physiological unit. Mace mentioned, our partner regulates our blood pressure, heart rate, etc. So what my question was, why not psychologically? If our partner can affect,
Yeah.
Go on, French.
if our partner can affect us physiologically, why not psychologically? But I mean, that's not really a question that we need to delve too deep into. That was just more.
I thought they would. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought they would as well. But it doesn't mention it in the book. It doesn't mention that it doesn't. So.
Well, as I said, you might have been through the book. Pock and I are only a chapter in, or the introduction, and it might touch upon this more later on down the line.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. As in what cause your partner mental health when you do stuff like that? Is that what you're trying to get, or what?
No, because it mentions that the two of you become one physiologically, so to speak. So if I feel a bit anxious and my heart rate goes up, then my partner's heart rate's going to go up, or do you know what I mean?
He might be able to call, she might be able to calm me down.
Yeah, vice versa. So if it's from a physiological point, why not from a psychological point as well? But as P said, I think that would affect it as well. But the book doesn't
psychologically
mention it.
how? I'm a little bit confused. So in terms of if
maybe emotionally.
Yeah, emotionally,
if
I saw my partner
upset,
devastated, upset,
yeah, it's going to make you upset.
Yeah, so I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But that's not physical. That's psychological.
We could post that out to our Twitter followers. So just remember, follow us at full FULL_E_booked on Twitter. As we will every week, we'll upload this onto SoundCloud, and the link will be on our Twitter page. We'll obviously give you also a brief breakdown of what we discovered from the chapter. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed.
I've got one last point.
Yep.
Before we wrap it up, and I mentioned it a couple of times, but it is the dependency paradox. And if you're not aware of what the dependency paradox is, it turns out that the ability to step into the world on our own often stems from the knowledge that there is someone beside us whom we can count on. Makes sense, I feel, in regards to partners being given a presence and giving you a boost of self-confidence. And there is always someone backing them, basically.
I think it's really important just in life in general.
Yeah.
I know, I really do. I think it's important. So.
What, to have someone having your back?
Yeah. I mean, I know we've kind of had a conversation in regards to dependency. Well, that's what we're talking about, dependency.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it is really good to know that someone's got your back, and I think it does give someone that extra 10, 15, in some cases even 20% encouragement to go out and step on their own. I think I'm at a point where I don't necessarily need to know someone has got my back as such. I just need to know whether I'm doing the right thing, yes or no as such. But I do think that is very important. I think it can help whether you're a confident person or whether you need assistance in some way, shape or form.
Cool. What about you, Mace?
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with Pox, in that knowing even if it's just one person supports you 100% of the way with an idea or something you're doing, or appreciates what you're doing or trying to do, I think that goes a long, long way. And I think there's actually an example in the book, which I know you would have come across, Pots, I don't know if you remember it or not, about a mother and baby, a baby that's 12, that's 12 situation test. So baby's 12 months old, the mother leaves the room and the baby goes a little bit berserk.
Yeah.
A little,
the reason why I was just tapping it, because I did note it down, but you mentioned it.
a little bit berserk. But when the mother comes in, it's not that the child needs soothing, comforting for the length of time I was there. Obviously, they need a short period of that. But then they're happy to explore their immediate surroundings, knowing that there's one person 100% behind them who is there for them in case something goes wrong, or will make sure that nothing goes wrong. They're happy to explore their immediate surroundings, knowing that there's someone there for them, which is the point you just hit on the head anyway.
That test refers back to, they mention it being like one of the most important tests to determine what attachment styles you have. So going further into that same test, it mentions if once the child is left alone and they realise that their parent or their particular person that they're with isn't there, they then become they start crying, and obviously they want to know where they are. When the person comes back, then they're happy to go along and start playing again, and that's a secure attachment. Whereas an avoidant, they'll continue playing anyway and act like they don't care, like very nonchalant. And it's a very good test and a very good read to kind of determine what attachment style you are.